Hey guys, welcome to the 78th C programming tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at storing a function as a variable. And the first thing that we need to do whenever we're going to be storing a function as a variable is just write out the return type. So we're just going to write out int right here. And then the next thing that we need to do is in parentheses just put an asterisk and then the name of your variable. So I'm just going to call my function variable sum function. And then following this, outside of the parentheses, you're going to want to create another set of parentheses. And inside of here is where you're just going to want to list out the functions. So we're going to say that our function variable needs to have two parameters, both of them being ints. So we're just going to say int, comma, int. And you don't give them names. So you don't say like int a or int some number or something like that. You just leave it as int, comma, and then your next parameter type. And then we're going to be setting this function variable equal to add. So we're going to say equals add. So now if we wanted to call the add function right here, we could go ahead and either call add directly like that, or we could call some function like this since we set some function equal to add. So we're going to call some function, and I'll just pass through like 6 and 7, and then we'll just go ahead and print the result out onto the screen. So we'll say printf mod I since it returns an integer, and then we're just going to print out the return value of some function. So when we run this, we should just get 13 out onto our screen since 6 plus 7 is 13. And once again, we're setting some function equal to add. And the reason that we're able to set some function equal to add is because add returns an integer, and because add takes two parameters, both of them being integers. So again, when we just call some functions right here, it's actually going to be calling add and passing through 6 and 7. So when we run this, we should get 13. And we do. And since mul has the exact same prototype as add, we can just go ahead and set some function equal to mul as well. So mul, and then when we run this, instead of calling add, it's going to be calling mul since we set some function equal to mul instead of add. So when we run this, we just get what 6 times 7 is, which is 42. And you can also pass functions as parameters. So if we wanted to right here, we could go ahead and create a function that would call a function that's passed in as a parameter. So what we're going to do is just say void print results, and this function is just going to take one parameter, and that'll just be the function that you want it to call. So we're going to say it takes a function as one parameter, and that function has to have a return type of int, and it has to have two parameters, both of them being integers. And then we're also going to have the caller pass through the two values that they want to pass through the function that they provide as the first parameter. So we'll say int arg0 and int arg1. Alright? And all this function is going to do is just simply print out onto the screen the return value of the function that is passed in as the first parameter, having these two parameters passed into that function. So we're going to say printf, and then we'll just say the return value of the function is, and then just mod I since it returns an integer. And then we're just going to go ahead and call some function, so the function that they passed in as the first parameter. And then to some function, we're going to be passing arg0 and arg1. So arg0 and arg1. So now in our main function right here, we're just going to go ahead and call the print results function. And we're going to pass through mul. And then as the parameters that we want to pass to mul, we'll just say 5 and 4. So basically what's going to happen when we call print results is it's going to set this function called sum function equal to mul. It's going to set arg0 equal to 5 and arg1 equal to 4. So inside of this printf right here, when we call some function, it's actually going to be calling mul since we passed through mul as the first parameter, and it's going to be passing 5 and 4 through to mul. So out onto our screen we should get 20 since 5 times 4 is obviously 20. And we do. And if we wanted to, we could go ahead and pass through add here instead. So we could say add, and then when we run this, we'll just get 9 out onto our screen since instead of it calling mul right here, it'll call add since we passed through add as the first parameter. So we run this, and we get 9. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial, so see you guys.